Welcome to Solo Shot First, and today we're going to be having a look at the Anakin Skywalker in his Peasent Disguise from Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Now, this is the re-released version. It's not the original one, but it's an interesting one, this. I mean, obviously, in terms of the image that they've used on the card back, it appears to be... obviously it's from Attack of the Clones, but I'm not sure whether that's actually been photoshopped at all. And I'm never quite sure whether they've really got this figure right at all, really, this sort of Anakin in his peasant disguise, or any real Anakin, I suppose. I mean, in terms of the actual look of the card, it's quite nice. The image of Hayden Christensen's pretty good. You've got the Anakin Skywalker, obviously, on that orange name pill, which works quite nicely, because certainly the background in terms of, the actual orange behind the figure works really, really nicely. You've got the Kenner logo obviously in the bottom right, that warning logo in the top right as you look at it, and the 4+ age group in the left. But this certainly appears to be like a photoshopped image as opposed to being pulled straight from the film. And I've never had this figure loose at all, I've got to say. So it'd be interesting to actually have a look at it. Looking at it through the bubble, again, have they actually got that photo real right with this particular character? Not quite sure on that, but let's have a look a little bit closer at the figure when we get it out of the packaging. So we'll have a quick look at the back of the card. So simply, this is VC32, which is the re-release. As I said, unfortunately, I don't have that original one to hand to look at. You do obviously have that nice sort of racetrack design that we talk about. And the other figures that were part of this wave were the battle droid, the TIE fighter pilot, Queen Amidala, that was re-released. The Mandalorian, obviously you've got the actual Anakin himself, the Armourer, Captain Rex, and Moff Gideon. So VC32. So this is on the again. This figures on this is still on this sort of thinner cardstock. That has obviously now, as we know, been rectified. But I don't mind this. I think it's not a bad looking card back at all. I suppose if you were a carded collector, you are probably going to want the original. Whether that figure inside is completely different, I couldn't tell you. But what we will do is we will have a look at this figure. It's meant to have a little bit more of that photo real technology. So let's get this figure out of the packaging and we'll have a look. Okay, so this is the figure out of the packaging. It's not the best head sculpt. It's not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. The actual sort of tunic that you get with it is, I've got to say, a little bit weird, really, just in terms of the way that it's sort of cut. I don't know if you can see that if I swing that round into different positions. It just, it's literally almost like it's a poncho, I suppose you could class that as, really. The way that's actually sort of resting across, but it just doesn't. It looks a bit weird, It's sort of attached there, and it's very flappy at the back. Front on looks pretty good. It's not a bad looking figure at all. Look, you can probably see I've got it on a stand, which is quite nice. Yes, it's not the worst to get on a stand. So not a bad looking figure. It's just that sort of poncho, that sort of tunic just doesn't quite sit right. But I mean, that's a minor gripe. So let's get that off and have a look at the figure without that on. Okay, so here is the figure without the this sort of poncho / tunic, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure whether that actually improves this figure or not. Look, in terms of the articulation with this figure, look, as being a complete, just sort of, I suppose, a re-release of VC32. It's not, again, got the sort of full articulation that you would expect with the most recent releases. However, it does obviously have that sort of slightly enhanced photoreal head sculpt, although that's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But look, it does. If you are a fan of the Attack of the Clones, you're going to like this figure. Articulation wise, you've obviously got articulation at the head with the sort of the swivel and the ball up and down. You've got articulation at the shoulders, at the elbows. You've got the swivel at the wrists. You've got swivel at the waist, articulation in the legs. Obviously, there is absolutely no butterfly hinge on this, but this is, as I said, this is a repack of the original VC32. Articulation at the knees and articulation. Sorry, I was just double checking there. Articulation at the feet. So decent articulation. You know, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the articulation whatsoever on the figure. And it doesn't look too bad. I know a lot of people have, you know, I think I've heard a lot of people moan about this. But again, I suppose it's a generational thing. If you were born, obviously, when Attack of the Clones was sort of, you were a kid when this was coming out, then you're going to like this figure, you know, undeniably anyway. If you're a carded collector, you're probably going to want to have got the original VC32. But for people that didn't obviously have that opportunity to pick that up, now's a good time to get this one. I think it's still quite readily available everywhere else. In terms of the accessories that come with this figure, you simply get the lightsaber hilt, which is actually quite nice. Nice silver with the sort of black stripes down it, if you can see that. So that's quite nice. And then obviously you've got the lit, really nice blue lightsaber. So some quite nice, you know, the accessories are nice, but you would expect them with this particular figure. Let's just get that poncho back on. Okay, so I've just put that back on. I actually probably prefer him with the poncho on. There's not much else to say about this character. Listen, it's an okay figure. It certainly wouldn't be one of my favourites in any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's an okay figure. So you know, decent articulation, quite a nice card back. Anyway, there's nothing more really to be said on that. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you are new to the channel and you want to subscribe, please do. There'll be more videos coming shortly. If you've got any questions, any comments at all about the figure, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll come back to you as soon as possible. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.